Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaeli Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your host, Kaeli here, and you're tuning in to episode number 244. Lately, I have been reflecting quite a bit on our recent strategic planning masterclass, where we helped hundreds of practice owners and managers get clear on what it's going to take to experience a new kind of success in 2025. Listen, I have a few thoughts I wanted to share with you today. I know you expect me to bring you the most honest conversations. After all, that's really why I started this podcast. I mean, at some point in my career in aesthetics, I was beginning to feel like the general information being fed to business owners was frankly inauthentic, self-fulfilling, and diluted with sales pitches. And I wanted to create a safe space for high growth women to come and know that they can tap into a credible resource for knowledge and inspiration, a place where content is underpinned by real lived experience, not based on a framework some company built whose primary goal is managing profit centers. And I couldn't be more proud of myself now, going on almost 5 years, for disciplining myself to honor the commitment to do this every single week. But most important part of that pride is the trust that I've earned from you, because I know that there are a lot of business coaches and quote unquote experts out there, and you don't need a podcast to find someone to give you unsolicited or even welcomed advice about how to make decisions in your business and life. It's all around. But you've shown up and continued to tap in and contribute to the rich community that I've aimed to build brick by brick over the past 8.5 years since I started KLC. And for that, I'm so honored. And also for that, I believe I have a dual responsibility if I want to continue to call myself a thought leader. Number one is to be obsessively investing in time, money, and opportunities to be on the innovative edge of strategy, anticipating market turns and pivots, and stepping headfirst into the unknown to build and light a pathway for others to follow, and ultimately to be an example of what's possible for women in the world. And secondly is to be the big sister voice that you need to push you out of your comfort zone when no one else will. While my goal is always to help inspire you, the truth is, for women like us, sometimes just feeling inspired isn't enough to access the wisdom that we push down and ignore when we have a trough of responsibilities, a family to support, a team to pay, and a business that lives or dies on the decisions we make. Believe me, I get it. Most days, my biggest accomplishment is just managing my mind through a roller coaster of emotions to very intentionally choose better thoughts that propel me into productive action versus reactive spinning. And one of the biggest things I've realized as I reflect on 2024 is that there's no such thing as certainty. This was a year of massive business shutdowns and private equity sales, a lot of leaders emotionally opting out, and businesses who missed their goals by a mile, many plateaus and unexpected turns, and story after story of misaligned life goals and business outcomes. We've seen the momentum many people experienced from the pandemic tailwinds start to stabilize a bit, and companies who relied upon that temporary push to fuel their business strategy are experiencing the results of a fractured infrastructure and needing to make major game-changing decisions about the future. On the other hand, we have clients in our program who are capitalizing on these fluctuations as lucrative expansion opportunities, buying up other businesses, investing in real estate, creating new brand concepts, and doubling down on access to passionate employees who want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Listen, I believe we all have that same opportunity, but we don't all have that same mindset. And as we get to the end of this year, I'll share a future podcast about my industry predictions and recommendations for investments and growth. But in my heart, I don't feel like it's right to share one more tactic or action plan with you without really giving some honest feedback about my own frustrations With strong women, I see making very docile decisions. Women who tell me they want to cross another $1 million milestone, who want to be looked up to as an industry leader, who want to make big pivots in their business, who want to start podcasts, write books, build their own academies, or women who want to leave their current employer and start a business. Women who have been gifted the dream of an unimaginable goal, and yet they're still acting like doing the same thing they did last year is going to change the trajectory of their outcomes. And I'm going to be honest, they're lying to themselves. And it frustrates me because there's so much untapped potential that is lying dormant because fully capable, completely badass women are waiting for the future to come to them. When the only way to make the future different is to stop waiting. I've spent this past year recording weekly podcasts, and you've heard from woman after woman after woman who has walked the walk. I have poured out valuable education, insights, firsthand experiences to building a multi-million-dollar business. Listen, if you haven't transformed your life in the past year by listening to free podcasts, you need to do something else. Here's what I'm realizing. We need a kick in the ass because here's my prediction. None of us need another 10-step framework. What you need is an ecosystem to plug into that's going to support you while you take risks and actually push yourself to a place you've never been. And that's only going to happen when you make a decision in a different way and make a decision that's going to really impact your future. And I'm coming to you today as someone who has been there. I've told my story about my first big investment of going to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. And I didn't know where I was going to find the money to do that, but I just took the leap. And I'm still there. In fact, this week, when this podcast airs, I'll be flying to Florida to meet with a business mentor I've admired for years. I have read all of her books, binged her podcast, taken her courses, and I'm going to spend multiple tens of thousands of dollars to meet with her for a day. And I want to tell you that it took me several months to get the opportunity. And when she finally agreed, I had the most intense imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my gosh, who am I to be meeting with someone who's building a $100 million coaching business? And then she asked for my org chart and my P&L and asked me several questions that I, quite frankly, had to search for answers to. I had to dig up data I hadn't visited in a long time. And between you and I, that required me to not only slow down and spend time doing something that felt very tedious and uncomfortable, which y'all know what that's like, but then I had to face what I saw. And I'll be honest, my company has grown very fast over the past few years, and I wasn't all organized and dialed in like I had imagined in my head. So I know what this feels like, putting yourself in a situation to be asked a question you don't know an answer to. It means we have to either find the solution or face the fact that we've fallen short of being the kind of leader that we desire to be for our company, or possibly having to realize that we're not quite where we thought we were. And that's a little bit of imposter syndrome. And it's a little bit of just facing the tune of what's actually going on. And it's hard. It's hard when we're being asked to make an investment in ourselves and we think about taking big risks or pushing ourselves into the next level or really seeing ourselves in a new light and having to act and behave differently than we ever have. It's very scary and there's no answer. It's unpredictable. And essentially what it means of us and what I think it means of me to go in and have this day with this person is I have to make it work. I'm making an investment in myself. That means I have to have enough belief in myself to know I'm going to capitalize on that investment. And that's really the beauty of it, the beauty of immersing yourself in the unknown and the uncomfortable. Because the alternative is if you surround yourself with a bunch of yes people that tell you, take this step, make this decision, here's the blueprint, and you're just searching for the next tactic, they're not pushing you to think. They're not challenging you to ask better questions, to put yourself in the arena with other people who are playing a game at a level you desire to achieve, then you're not really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You could go to 10 more clinical trainings and learn a new technique every month of the year, but until you take that leap to get the real support you need to make a transformation, you will still end up in the same place. I can promise you. I hear every single year from women who tell me, I wish I would have made that decision sooner. I wish I had made this life-changing investment last year. They have to live with that regret. And I will be coming to them in December of 2025, and they will wish they had taken that leap. They will wish they had taken the risk. But don't let this be you. Because here's the truth. Your success is not actually going to come from anything external. Not me, not another coach. You could work with coach after coach, from your Instagram injector, business coach, all the way up to Tony Robbins. But you are never going to find what you're looking for until you're willing to look in the mirror and decide to be the owner of your success. I often hear, I'm nervous, or I can't afford to make that big investment, Kaeli. And then someone will go and find a couple $100 a month mastermind thinking that's going to make any kind of impact. And the reason this is a stretch for you is because you haven't pulled the real drivers to put you in a position to make the very best the expectation for yourself. It's not coming next year. It's coming when you make the decision to think and act differently than you did in 2024. Most people believe that not taking a big risk keeps them safe. Well, I'm here to tell you from personal experience that doing nothing is the biggest risk there is. Not only will you stay in a position where you experience the same results, but you will also imprint your psyche, telling yourself that you aren't worthy of something better. And it becomes a spiral. You start making excuses of why things outside of you are getting in the way. For me, I know that if I can look in the mirror and say, you know what, it's me, I'm the problem, then I already have the tool in my toolbox to make the change I need, period. If you're saying you can't afford it, well, you can't afford not to. And it's not going to be easy, but that's why I'm here. I can't give you the answers that are going to architect a life that satisfies your wildest dreams. Those are yours. But I can stand shoulder to shoulder with you and walk through the struggles as your thought partner, your guide, your accountability coach, and your biggest damn cheerleader as you work to build the scaffolding to support those goals and to climb to whatever heights you so desire. And you can. I encourage you to take some time today to get quiet and just get really honest with yourself. What are you waiting for? And when you answer that question, ask yourself if that's worth putting a pause on real transformation, because I'd be willing to bet that one thing is the obstacle you need to eliminate as an excuse to unlocking your next level of growth. Let's do this, goddess. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you same place, same time next week. Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working to cross the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to kaelcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.